just like me. You self not criminal. Just keep breathing. What?
Okay, we are going to be talking about the 8-part series called To Kill a Monkey. It's currently streaming on Netflix. This review is going to be spoiler-filled. So just in case you're yet to see the series, you might want to add this to your watch later and come back to it later. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back to the channel. In case you're just hearing my voice, seeing my face, welcome. I really do hope you stay. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Like this video if you're yet to like it right now, and leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are concerning this 8-part series. After 4 years of Kemi Adetiba teasing us about the series, dropping, teasers, snippets, and all of those things, we finally got to see it on the 18th of July, which was last Friday. So yeah, let's just talk about everything we need to talk about the series. To Kill a Monkey is a Nigerian crime drama series about Efemini, a struggling man who gets drawn into the world of cybercrime by an old friend. Forced to compromise his morals to survive, Efemini navigates a dangerous path filled with moral dilemmas and increasing stakes. The series explores themes of ambition, desperation, and the cost of survival in a challenging environment, all while maintaining a sense of realism and ambiguity. I feel like this synopsis just covers the entirety of what this series was actually about. So we're going to go right into the characters and their performances. First on my list, I have Benson. He played the character Efemini. I have to say that one thing that got me stuck to my screen at the very beginning of this this series, especially at the very beginning, like the first episode, was the fact that the lead actor is not someone I have seen play the lead character before. I think I've seen him in one series before where he played like a struggling taxi driver. I'm not sure if I'm mistaken him for somebody else, but for the most part of it, I haven't seen him play the character of a lead role, and I haven't seen him in a lot of things. So seeing somebody who seemed very new on my screen, taking charge of the series and playing a major role in the series was something I really, really appreciated, and it got me like glued to my screen. And considering the fact that this person not only got the opportunity to take charge of a major role in a major series by a major director, he actually ate up his character and the performances in this movie or in this series. I beg your pardon. Benson killed his character. I always say that I like when characters take us on a journey of different waves of emotions. You see them when they are excited, when they are happy, when they are desperate, when they are expectant, when they are hopeful, when they are scared, when they are fearful, when they are angry, when they are vengeful. We saw all of those different emotions in Efe, and there was a very good balance in his character. We saw him struggle. We were able to relate to him. I was able to liken him to a young man on the street. Do the right thing the legal way, but it seemed like the illegal way is winning all the time. Someone that doesn't really want to compromise his morals, his principles, but at the same time, wants to make the best of the life that he's got, wants to live a fulfilled life, wants to put food on the table of his family. So I liked how his character took us on a whole journey, and I liked how they took out time to actually help us explore the character of Efe. So even at the end, we felt like a huge part of his story and his journey, and it was very, very easy for us to connect his story and empathize with him, get angry at him and whatnot. So I really appreciated the character Efe. If you're being honest, I get that there's a whole conversation as to Efe and Obo's character and how things went down for them in the series. But he wanted to be a good man, if to put it that way. He wanted to be a good man, but things were not playing in his favor. If not, I'm a Christian, I would have said that what the supervisor or the manager at his restaurant job said to him, that God doesn't like him, that God hates him. I would have said that's actually true, but I know like God doesn't hate anybody. Life just happens, right? We also had Bucci Franklin, the man of the hour. And I'm so glad that people are beginning to see Bucci Franklin in this light, because this man has been in a couple of good works in the past, especially movies that are gritty, crime related. We've seen him in series like this and movies like this, and he has always brought in his A game. I think the reason why he stood out so much in this series was because he got one of the major characters in this series, and most of the series were centered around himself and Efe, and he actually made very good use of that opportunity. His character was so annoying. His character was, at some point, I empathized with his character, but I was so annoyed at his character more than I empathized with him, to be honest. I felt like he was too strong-headed. He was too crass. He was too ras. He was just too all over the place. A man with no strategy and no plan. I wish he listened more to Efe, and he was able to with a cool-headed mind, actually see eye to eye with Efe and look and, come up with a strategy that would actually work for the both of them. Because it felt like he was just going about the whole thing haphazardly because his family wasn't really affected. Look at how he got to him when his wife was attacked at the spa. Like, it really, really got to him so badly compared to how he has been responding to the whole situation prior to his wife being attacked here. So I feel like his character is one that you would really find difficult to love. You have to have tough love for a character like Oboz. Like, it doesn't make it easy. And in Efe's defense, I don't think Oboz made it very easy for him to stick up his head for him like Oboz would have for him. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I get that there was betrayal in place, yada, yada, yada. We'll get to that later, but like, Opus didn't make it easy for Efe. I think to just put it in a sentence, it didn't make it. But Bucci Franklin killed his character. Gosh, it felt so natural. It felt like his comfort zone. Of course, we've seen him play this character time and time again, but he just shined through this character, and I really appreciated the work and the effort he actually puts into bringing his character to life. That Sunshine Roman. Oh my goodness gracious, this woman. Oh goodness. I was like, I'm not just saying now, of course. I think she was in, I'm trying to remember a movie that I saw of recent that she was in. She was like the personal assistant or something. She plays characters that are like that. But of course, she's a good looking woman. So you can't really you can't miss seeing her in a series. But this particular one, Rosman played the character of Sparkle. And like I already said, she ate up her role, her skin, her face, her carriage, her mannerism, the way she stared, her stares, the way she spoke, the way she carried herself. This lady almost got me fooled in this series. She played the character of Sparkle to a perfection. I'm like, goodness, like, who's holding on to this woman's flowers? Because we need to give it to her right now. She delivered her character to a T. Like, I enjoyed seeing her on my screen. At some point, I was beginning I knew there was something up about her. Of course, I sort of knew that there was something up about her. Like, it was too good to be true, but she still almost got me fooled with her performance in this series, and she really, really did so well. She did really well in this series. We had Chidi Mokeme as teacher. He seemed like, a godfather who has been in the industry before Efe and Oboz, but, Oboz and Efe are making more strides because they are all tech savvy and all of those things. And it feels like teacher doesn't have all of those facilities and those knowledge to better enhance his game in the industry. And I think at some point or at the very beginning, teacher sounded more scary than he actually was, or than was actually presented to us when we later got to meet him. I feel like he did a lot more talking than more action. It was later on, his character picked up in terms of action, because all the targets from himself towards Efe and Oboz, they made it out alive. Aside from, Efe's mother-in-law who died, but Oboz's wife made it out. Efe's daughter, even though it was like a slim chance, but she still made it out alive. But look at what he did to Oboz's, to Efe's child, and look at what Oboz did to his own child. Like, he planted, Efe's daughter into a deep freezer, and Oboz planted bomb, or he planted an explosive into his car. So if K was not even taking him out at the very beginning of the whole issue, if not that it took some minutes before getting into the car and before the explosive went away. I'm just saying that to say that he sounded more scary than he actually he actually looked and acted, or I don't know how to better put it, but I expected him to be more scary and more fearless and more crazy and more over the top and more, I get that they tried to do that with the things he was eating and the way he moved, the body organs and all those things, but I'm like, if Oboz had if he had calmly spoken to Efe and they had come up with a strategy, they could have easily taken out teacher. It wasn't that scary. But yeah, Bimbo Akintola, who played the character of Mo. It was so good seeing Bimbo Akintola in this series, because I haven't seen her in a lot of things lately, and I feel like she really delivered her character as well. That scene where she was imagining, or where she was seeing her family members, and where she was screaming and yelling, and she was hearing voices, the soundtrack, the sound effects, her scream, her stares, the way she had fear in her face and all of those things, it really came together nicely, and I loved it. And I think her performance also added so much to that scene as well. I really wasn't sure how our story, or the time we spent exploring our story and what had happened to our family and the fatal accident, a lot of those things, I really couldn't understand how it tied to the story in its entirety. I get that they probably wanted to give us like a backstory to like the inspector's life, and I don't know, like I think I'll get to it later, but like I really just didn't see why we needed to get that backstory of the inspector. I don't know if you think you understood that side better. Kindly leave a comment in the comment section. Maybe I'll better understand what they were trying to do with them giving us a backstory to our character. But yeah, Lilian Afegbai. See, this is another person that I feel like has always been bringing her A game into movies that she appears in, and finally people are starting to see her more. She played the character of Obus's wife, and she delivered her character as well. You know, the way she carried herself, her mannerism, her pronunciation, the intonation, the accent, those are long nails, the exaggerated jewelries, the sparkling dresses. She was just an over the top babe. I love seeing herself and, Obus together. I feel like they fit so well. Like they're just a pair. Their character just syncs so well, and they couldn't have casted a better couple than they did with these two. Damascus, who played the character of Nosa, I actually have a bone to pick with Nosa in this series because what? Hugs. Like, I feel like we're all talking about the betrayal from Efe towards Obuz, but let's talk about the betrayal from Nosa towards Efe. Like, I get that, your decision is your decision. Nobody's forcing you and all of those things. But like, this man literally put his life on the line. We saw how many times Efe walked away from compromising situations that would hurt his wife. I mean, this whole Adoni babe that he refused to sleep with multiple times. I'm sure that she has been making advances towards him before we even saw in the series. But like, he eventually gave in to her advances because the wife needed money for her CS. He turned down the job offer from Obuz and walked away from it because it was against his moral and principles. But he went back to it because the wife was like, oh, somehow we are suffering, but you didn't think twice before rejecting Obuz's job offer. She knew something was fishy. She knew there was something dirty about the job for her husband to have refused it. But she still somehow pushed him. I get it. Efe had his decision to make, but she still somehow guilt-tripped him into taking the job. And then you're spending the money and you're still guilt-tripping him again. Like, if we have to talk about the person that actually won in this series, it has to be Nosa. Nosa won. She made her husband do something he didn't really want to do. And she walked away when he needed her the most. And then went ahead to go with his money and go marry another man. Life is so unfair. Life can be really, really unfair, but like, that's all I have to say with regards to Nosa's character. But I think Stella Damascus, she performed that character well. At the beginning, we were able to empathize with her. We saw how she encouraged her husband. She was there for him. She made him feel like, okay, it's the world, it's me and you against the world. But we saw how that, all that thing came crumbling down when they actually even had money. But like, that's by the way. Characters I would like to mention. Teniola Aladese playing the character of EVA. God, may God not give us children like EVA, because I don't think for any time did I see this girl back her father or support her father or make her father happy or proud or anything. If not, like, how do you even bring yourself down to the position of going to sleep with your father's friend? Make it make sense. Like, that just shows utmost disrespect for yourself and even your father. But like, and that her coming home and lashing at her father that, oh, Efe, calm down. Why are they working like that? You don't happy, Abby? I'm like, excuse you? But, and she's saying something like, oh, that the father didn't want her happy. Now the father has taken away her happiness. If anything, I think it did her a huge favor, because Obus never loved her. Obus never had good plans for her. She was never in Obus's good books. If anything, I feel like, what's her name? Idia would have killed her at the end of the day. I had so much hatred for him, but like, I love Teniola Aladese. I like seeing her in movies. I love watching whatever she's in. So I think she also did well in her character. Mike Ejoor playing Onome, I knew that guy was too good to be true, but I also wasn't really expecting that I was going to betray his colleague like that. But I think Mike Ejoor also did a fantastic job playing Inspector Onome. We also had Danametim Efyong, Enado, we had Ireti, Doyle, and the likes. Now, on to the things I liked about this series. I liked the casting. I really, really enjoyed the fact that we got to see A-list actors play very simple roles in this series. Enado playing the role of, the therapist. Teniola Aladese playing the role of a 24-year-old. Mike Ejoor playing the role of a very cheerful, helpful, inspector who is a colleague to Mo. Even Bimbo Akintola playing the character of like the inspector. I just liked how the series was sort of star-studded, but the way they did the casting and the kind of characters, the kind of roles that were given to these different actors, it just give it a very good sync and a very good feel and balance, which I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed. Like, I was just very surprised when I saw Enado as a therapist. I was like, oh, that's very interesting. Danny Mefiong as the doctor, I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. Like, these are A-list actors that are being given simple roles, but I also like the fact that everybody delivered, and it just attests to the good works of the director. Sometimes we see these actors in movies and we're so expectant and see them act something very shabby, something very anyhow. And you're like, this person can actually perform better than they just did. Why didn't this director ask that they will take the scene again till it gets better? But yeah, I mean, we're talking about Kemi Adetiba, yeah, I wasn't expecting anything less. So I really liked that. Liked the use of Edo language. I centered around individuals that are from Edo, their language and all of those things. But I always like when I see movies that they explore languages other than English, Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, like the more usual familiar languages that we are used to seeing, because this like putting our other languages on the map. Like, I remember how I felt when I saw the series Shantytown and I was hearing the EBBO and appreciated the fact that, they really explored the Edo language very well. I think it was a very good addition to the series. I enjoyed the pacing of the series. I enjoyed, like I already said, I enjoyed how they took out time to explore Efe's character, to develop it. They took us through different stages. We didn't just arrive at a point where Efe just found himself into like the old shady business. We saw how he tried to resist that path, how he tried to carve out another path for himself, but that didn't seem to be working out for him. I enjoyed the pacing of the series, especially the first and second one. The thing with Efe bargaining is caught with, Obos. Just like Obus's reaction, most people would not expect that a man who has been pushed to the wall that bad would actually be bargaining and trying to negotiate for a better cut. He should just, settle for anything, just something to feed his family and whatnot. But I liked how that scene tried to remind us, or try to better inform the viewers that the fact that you're sort of at the bottom barrel doesn't mean you take anything, because you never know how things can turn in coming days or coming years. I honestly feel like if Efe hadn't done that, Obus might have treated him worse than he actually treated him. Yes, Obus was always referring to him as brotherly, but if you're being honest, was there any point in time, aside from the scene where Obus recognized Efe at the bar, which was one of my favorite scenes in this entire series, that look on Obus's face, someone that you hold in high regard, someone that you expect that, judging by where that person was the year you saw him last, you expect that they are doing way better now. You just expect that good things happen to good people, right? And I think that was what Obus expected of Efe. So he was very, very shocked when he saw Efe in that condition and that whole situation, yeah? But back to what I was saying, like, aside from that scene where Obus accorded him the respect, like, now this person helped me, save my life, bring cheer for around, and my guest, all those things, like, aside from that scene, I don't think there was any other scene where Obus actually accorded Efe respect as somebody that is like the major brain behind the business as it is running currently. I get that he's been running the business before, but like with the whole AI thing and bringing more money, billions into the job, it didn't accord him that respect. It didn't even treat him like a brother. Because if you actually did see him as a brother, imagine that scene where he took him on the boat. When Efe had told him that he's scared of water, but because your boy told you that Efe they run one or two things behind your back, where we say, let's say they steal your money, you not took him on the water, and see the way they were beating him up. See, in fact, cut off that BS. Like, I don't think Obos actually treated Efe as a brother. It was all mouth and no action. But I understand that it's possible that Obos would never have sold out Efe like Efe did to him, but like, Obus didn't make it easy for Efe, in my own opinion. The review will be complete if I don't talk about the cinematography of this series. It's Kemi Adetiba, the visuals. Most of the scenes were shot in like dark areas, a good number of the scenes. And I always say this with like gritty movies that are shot in like dark surroundings, under dark low light. Sometimes with some series, I struggle to see what's beneath, the series, or what's beneath the visuals, like the visuals in the series. But with this particular one, I was able to see very well in the dark. I was able to see the faces, their smiles, their glances, the movements. The lighting was well balanced. The visuals were very appealing to the eyes. And yeah, it was just very tasteful to watch on my screen. I also like the song choices. I mean, the scoring, we already know that the scoring for the music scoring for the series was specially done, and I liked how it stood out in this series. If for anything, I can still remember the soundtrack in my head. Like, I can still hear it somewhere in my head, especially the soundtrack at the end of the series, where, you know, the voiceover came in from Efe, and they took us through the last few moments of Efe's life, the courtroom and all of those things. You know, the slow motion, Sparkle walking into the courtroom, Idia walking into the courtroom, even Nosa going into the cell to tell, you know, Efe to sign the divorce paper and, you know, give her access to the undiscovered account. I really liked how that came together. I feel like it was a very solid way to actually end the series. I liked how it made me feel. I felt very emotional. It felt very sad, and I mean, that scene just made it dawn on me more that, you know, at the end of the day, every man for himself. Like, if you allow anybody push you to do certain things that you really don't want to do, and you're like, oh, I'm making this sacrifice, I'm making these sacrifices, like, are you really able to pay what that sacrifice demands? You might just feel you're making a sacrifice, but like, some sacrifice, you know, actually require more than just making that sacrifice. There's always something after it. And that was something that Efe didn't see coming, and I don't think he was actually prepared for. Like I've been saying on X, you know, Efe is actually he's actually like book smart, but not street smart. And I think that was one thing that led to his downfall. Because why would you even trust Sparkle? What made him trust Sparkle? And that's where I actually blame Nosa. That was where Nosa should have stepped in. The scene where, you know, Efe was going crazy. He was all over the place. He needed to save himself, save his family, save his wife, save his child, save his kids, save his business, look out for Obus. Like, he needed somebody's hand to fall into. He needed somebody to console him, to pacify him, tell him everything was going to be fine, even though it was looking like his life was crumbling down. But Nosa wasn't there. Oh gosh, that one pisses me off. I can't even lie. But yeah, those are my take on the series, the 8-part series, To Kill a Monkey. Have you seen the series? What do you think? If I'm to talk about one thing that I probably didn't like about the series, I would say that, like I already said, I didn't really see the need for them to explore Mo's character as much as they did. Because at the end of the day, I really didn't see, I don't know, maybe just all up in my head, but I really didn't see the necessity for them exploring that part of her character later on in the movie. Maybe they were trying to make us empathize more with her and see why she has that zeal and drive for her career, and why she wants to fight for the position and, you know, for the cases that she wants to work on or what now. But like, I just was trying to look at the correlation between her story and the story and the plot itself. Also, I feel like the series dragged off for a while. I think at the middle, episode 4, 5 and 6 thereabout, I feel like it could have been successfully compressed into a 5-part series or 6. I feel like 8 was a stretch, but I'll take it, considering the fact that we've been expecting this for 4 years. Take an 8-part series, but I'm just saying it could have fit perfectly into a 5-part series. All that part where they were running Elta Skater with teacher, trying to figure out, you know, the fights between Obus and Efe, Mo, the whole thing with Mo and Onome sitting on the table discussing cases, eating out, all of those things. Like, if they had cut and join, I feel like we could have successfully had 5 episodes and it would have still been a success. But like,